ये जो ये रख दो कहीं पे अच्छी जगह पे, यहाँ पे रख दो और ये इसमें लगा के छोड़ो। अभी सिर्फ टेस्ट करना है प्रभु, सामने वाले पॉकेट में ना ये
हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा हरे रामा हरे रामा हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
for some reason.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna
Krishna Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Ram Ram Ram. Gauranitai Jaya, Gauranitai Jaya, Gauranitai Jaya, Gauranitai Jaya, Gauranitai Jaya, Gauranitai Jaya. Jaya Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Madan Mohan Radhe. Jaya Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Madan Mohan. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha, Jaya Narahari, Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha, Jaya Narahari, Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Bol.
No, it can pick up again. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare
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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Setting up the thing for Abhishek. So if you want, you can make some variations, and do some variations, keep going. When he signals us.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Can you change and make a new melody now? Why not? Just slowly stop this and change another
Hare
one.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Can you just switch a melody?
I don't know which one to switch to. I'm fine like this.
Gaur Aarti one.
This is more art.
Okay, but slow, but the same thing.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radhe.
Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radhe.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada.
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
We're going to ceremony. We're performing a deity worship ceremony for Sri Sri Gaur Nitai. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All energies emanate from him. And one of the ways in which he makes himself available for worship and bhakti is by manifesting through physical elements. After all, they're his energies. He can appear wherever he likes. Form of the Lord is also absolute. And there's a process. It's not willy-nilly. You can't just make it up as you go along. In fact, Krishna delineates the process in the Srimad Bhagavatam of deity worship. It's in the 11th canto. You can read that chapter and know everything you need to know about deity worship and the ways in which Krishna appears through various types of material elements, including metal and wood, stone, paint, in the mind, in jewels, so forth. And there's a process for worshiping. So we're enacting an installation. It's like a welcoming ceremony for Sri Sri Gaur Nitai, who are going to be in Mukundarvind and Ananga Manjari's home here for them to worship. So we'll be performing the puja, which includes bathing the Lord and then dressing him, feeding him, and then we'll have a big artik. Does that sound agreeable to everybody? Okay, Haribol.
Wait, but what is the first part? What is the first part? Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Yeah, I'm gonna switch. No, I'm gonna move to the next part.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama,
Rama Rama,
Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
No, I'll do it.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Hare,
Hare Ram,
Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Nitai singing.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Are you getting tired?
A bit.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Bring it up now, okay?
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
You know how to close it?
I have to go fast and just jump down slow.
No. You can slow down. Slow down, okay?
Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
I'll just close with this one then.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Gaur Premanande.
You sing it.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo bolo, everyone loudly. Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Bolo Bolo Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Everybody loudly. Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Everybody together. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Break it down more.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Wait, I forgot.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madan Mohan, Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Madan Mohan, Shri Radhe. Jaya Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Break it down.
Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gauri Premanande, Haribo.
Nadia Godrume Nityananda Mahajan. Pate Achenam Hata Jivera Karan. Shadabanjan He, Shadabanjan He. Shadabanjan He, Shadabanjan He. Bolo Krishna Bhajo Krishna, Koro Krishna Shika. Shishi Nitai ki jai, Sachi Sutta Gaura Hari. Bolo Krishna Bhajo Krishna. Bolo Krishna Bhajo Krishna. Koro Shiksha Shitka. Aparada Shuna Hoy Laha Krishna Nam. Aparada Shuna Hoy. Aparada Shuna Hoy Lo Krishna Nam. You want to announce their names? Krishna Pita.
Hare Krishna. We are heartily welcoming the deity's name that has been given by Guru Maharaj, Sri Sri Janvapati Gaur Hari. Hari Bo.
Tell them the name of your house.
Janvapati Gaur Hari ki. Shri Janvapati Gaur Hari ki. Shri Janvapati Gaur Hari ki.
And also Maharaj has given the name of the house as Navdeep Chandra Dham. Hare Krishna.
Ma Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Sri Mate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Sri Mate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namaste
Saraswate Deve Gauravani
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. No, Gaur Artik, old style, like Prabhupada used to do it. Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Aroti Koshoba Kiba Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Aroti Koshoba Jana Vitata Vane Jagamana Lobha Janavitatavane Jagamana Lobha Jagajana Mana Lobha Jagajana Mana Lobha Gaurangera Rotiko Shobha Jagajana Mana Lobha Gaurangera Rotiko Shobha Jagajana Mana Lobha Jagajana Mana Lobha Jagajana Mana Lobha Kiba Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Arotiko Shobha Jana Vitatavane Jagamana Lobha Dakine Nitai Chan Bame Gadadha Dakine Nitai Chan Bame Gadadhara Nikate Advaita Srini Vasachhatradara Nikate Advaita Srini Vasachhatradara Jayo Kiba Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Arotiko Shobha Janavitatavane Jagamanaloba Janavitatavane Jagamanaloba Vase Ache Gaurachan Ratna Singhasane Vase Ache Gaurachan Ratna Singhasane Arati Korena Brahma Arideva Gane Nara Hari Ari Kori Chamaradulaya Sanjaya Mukunda Vasu Goshadidaya Shankha Baje Ganta Baje Baje Karatala Madhura Mridanga Bhaje Paramarasala Kiba Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Arotiko Shobha Janavitatavane Jagamanalobha Madhur 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 Bhaje Madhur 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 Bhaje Hey! Shankha Baje Kanta Baje Madhur 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 Baje Shankha Baje Kanta Baje Madhur 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 Baje Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Jayo, Jaya Gaura Chande, Aroti Koshobha. Bahu Koti Chandra Jini Badana Ujvala Gala Deshe Vandamala Kore Jalamala Shiva Shuka Narada Preme Gada Gada Bhakati Vinoda Dekhe Gaurara Sampada Haribo Kiba Jayo Jaya Gaura Chande Arotiko Shobha Jana Vitata Vane Jagamanda Loba Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
We'll go up a little bit. A little higher.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Haribo! Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Nitai Gaur Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaur Haribo. Nitai Gaur Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaur Haribo. Change up. Nitai Gaur Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaur Haribo. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Shri Hari Nam Sankirtan ki. Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki. Sankirtan all over San Jose ki. Gaur Premanande. Nitai Gaura Hari Bo. Hari Bo. Hari Bo Nitai Gaura Hari Bo. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Prirajagacharya Shtotaras Shishimad Abhay Charanada Vinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Prirajagacharya Shtotaras Shishimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavini Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Sri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Sri Mayapur Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Sri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Jamuna Devi, Ganga Devi Ki Jai, Samveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo.
Oh, this is almost out. So maybe I should see if it's red.
Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone to Navadvip. This is a spiritual place because we're singing the holy names. In the Padma Purana stated that Krishna doesn't reside in Vaikuntha. He doesn't reside in the hearts of the yogis. He's only where his devotees are singing his glories. So, and come close to Krishna by chanting the holy names. And one can transform anything. Brahmarpanam Brahmaha Vir Brahmagnau Brahmanohutam Brahmaiva Tenagantavya Brahmakarma Sabadina. This is science. Krishna presents in the Bhagavad Gita that all the energies of this world are transformable. They're transforming anyway, but you can transform them from material to spiritual energy by engaging them in service to Krishna. I was in Washington, D.C. in 1976 on the 4th of July. It was the bicentennial, and Prabhupada happened to be there at that time too. Or Prabhupada was there and I happened to be there. And I went on book distribution in the morning, came back in the afternoon, and the devotees said, Prabhupada wants to go downtown. He's going to see the fireworks. So I thought that was great. So Prabhupada got into an SUV that was the only one on the planet at the time called an International Harvester. Kids, there were no SUVs back in the 70s, except for one. It was called International Harvester, and they happened to have one there at the Washington, D.C. Potomac Temple, where Prabhupada was staying. So he sat in that, and we could see him because with an SUV, it's a little up high. And the rest of us got in cars, Prabhupada and Harisari and Pushta Krishna, our Pushta Krishna Prabhu, was in the car with Prabhupada, and maybe a Rupanuga, the one you don't know. And they drove in front and everyone else jockeyed for position behind to try to get closer to Prabhupada's car. And we got to the mall, and you can imagine on the bicentennial it was packed with people. But we got out and we had a wicker chair for Prabhupada that he sat on. And from there we watched the fireworks for a few minutes. And Prabhupada said, "Is this it?" I said, "Yes, let's go." So today we have been going from homes of various devotees and remembering Krishna's pastimes and chanting Hare Krishna. And from being together all day today, Nirkula had mentioned, and some others had said, that we feel like we're in the spiritual world. But that feeling is accurate because of the power of transformation of the holy name. So when Prabhupada came to Atlanta, Georgia, and he saw the Gaur Nitai deities there, then he sang this next song, which you can all find on KK Songs online. It's got all the Hare Krishna bhajans, and it's called Parama Karuna. Prabhupada was very heartfelt. So this song, Parama Karuna, can somebody give me the translation? Thank you. So this song is about the mercy of Sri Sri Gaur Nitai, who have appeared here today in Mukharvind's and Nanga Manjari's house. And this is the translation. The two lords, Nitai Gaur Chandra, are very merciful incarnations. The specific significance of these incarnations. Oh, this is cut off a little bit. Okay. The specific significance of these incarnations is that they introduced a process of chanting and dancing that is simply joyful. Dear brothers, I request you to just worship Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda with firm conviction and faith. If one wants to be Krishna conscious by this process, one has to give up his engagement in sense gratification. One simply has to chant Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, without any motive. Dear devotees, just try to examine this. Within the three worlds, there is no one like Lord Chaitanya or Lord Nityananda. Their merciful qualities are so great that upon seeing them, even birds and beasts cry and stones melt. But Lochan Das regrets, says, I'm entrapped by sense gratification. Since I have no attraction for the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, then Yamaraj, the superintendent of death, is apparently punishing me by not allowing me to be attracted by this movement. And this is how the song goes in a Dadra call. Tall. Can I keep it? Parama Karuna Pahundvi Jana Nitai Gaura Chandra Shabhavatar Sharashinamani Kevalananda Kanda Bajo Bajo Bai Chaitanya Nitai Sudrida Vishvasa Kori Vishaya Chadiya Shera Semajiya Mukhe Bolo Hari Hari Dekore bhai tribhuvane nai emona doyala data. Kartal, play Kartal. Pashupaki jure Pashana vidare Shunijar gunagata. Kartal. Shamshare Majia Rohili Podia Shepade nahi lo asha. Apana karama bunjaye shamana koheo lochana dasa. Parama Karuna Pahundvi Jana Nitai Gaura Chandra Jana. Nitai Gaura Chandra Nitai Gaura Chandra. Gaur Premanande Haribo. There are various special portals. Of course, the Earth planet is not so bad, because it's known to be in the middle of the universe. This is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Describes the various planetary systems, Om Bhurabhuvaswa. There's lower planetary systems, there's higher planetary systems, and there's the middle planetary system. We're right in the middle, in case you're wondering where we were. And Naimisharanya is known as the dead center of the universe, actually, because we're in the middle planet, and the forest in Naimisharanya where the sages performed their yajna, and then they met Sutta Goswami and they found out about the Srimad Bhagavatam. That's right in the center of the universe. And then why is that important? Because it's like the ground floor. So if you want to exit the building, you got to be on the ground floor. And if you're in the higher planetary systems, before you exit, you have to come back down here and go out the door. So from the special places on this planet, especially Vrindavan and what's called Navadvip, these are considered to be, they're called Dhams. And you could think of it as an embassy. If you've ever been in a foreign country and then you went to an embassy, well, I did. Once I was in Calcutta. I was in India for 3 months, and I was in Calcutta for a little while. I had to adjust something about my visa, and I went to the American embassy in Calcutta, and when I walked in, there were US Marines inside. And there was a plexiglass on this side, my side of the plexiglass, there was Calcutta. There was honking of horns and people speaking Bengali. And on the other side, there were US Marines, and there was Arrowhead water. They flew it in from America. And they also had, I could see other kinds of snacks in there that I recognized. They weren't Indian, they were American. Everything, they spoke English, then just a little plexiglass covering, that's it. And so, similarly, in the Dham, You can drive, for instance, to Vrindavan from New Delhi. Take you 2.5, 3 hours to drive from the airport and go there. And when you come into the Dham, you can feel that you've crossed over the boundary, you've entered the Dham, and you can definitely feel it when you leave. Actually, people go and stay in the Dham, and I always warn them when they go the first or second time to beware of whiplash, because it's such a rarefied atmosphere that when you get there, you start getting used to the spiritual environment, and then when you leave, there's it's hard to bear, because you feel separation from the Dham, and it's a little disorienting to come out again. My point is, you can feel the difference between the two places. The spiritual environment is palpable. And so the Dhamma is known as a embassy for the spiritual world, where one can go and then be in touch with the atmosphere of the spiritual world. So Sri Vrindavan Dham is the abode of Krishna. Everyone knows, who knows anything, knows that that's Krishna's hometown. That apparently he was born in Mathura and then transported over to Gokula. And then there's another Dham, which is called Navadvip Dham. Nava, Dweep. So Dweep means island and Nava means 9. So the Ganga and the Jalangi, there's a lot of water around because there's 9 islands. And each one of the islands in Navadvip represents one of the practices of devotional service. And how many of the categories of practice of bhakti are there? 9. See, it works out. So 9 islands and 9 places. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Swaram, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. These are the 9 practices of devotional service: hearing, chanting, remembering, worshiping the lotus feet of the Lord, doing deity worship, offering prayers, Vandanam, Sakyam, befriending the Lord, Dasyam, serving, and Atma Nivedanam, surrendering oneself. So all of these practices have many subcategories, and these are represented there in Navadvip Dham by the 9 islands. And of course, Mayapur, just like a flower, it has a middle part. Mayapur is right in the middle, and that's where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears. So Navadvip Dham and Vrindavan Dham are the same Dham. They just have slightly different mood. So in Vrindavan, the mood is madhurya, sweetness. Everything's sweet in Vrindavan. In fact, it's so sweet you'll get attached there. If you go to Vrindavan and you stay for a little while and you're not offensive, you don't go there just to go shopping or something. You try to perform a little austerity when you go to the Dham, and you chant there. You'll become attached. A lot of people wear T-shirts saying, "I lost my heart in Vrindavan," or "I left my heart there." And it's true, that's what happens. And then that madhurya, if you can imagine it in a big container of some very sweet substance, and it fills all the way up, and then it starts to overflow. That's Navadvip, and it's called Adorya. Adorya means generosity, that it's being shared with everybody. It's the sweetness, but it comes out here it overflows and goes throughout the whole world, all the way to San Jose, California, and beyond, to every part of the universe. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, but he's infused with the heart and halo of Srimati Radharani. And he's reaching out to give the process of Krishna consciousness to as many people as possible all over the world, and share the mood of Vrindavan so that people can come there and become happy in Vrindavan. Just as we heard from the song, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's process is Kevala Anandakanda. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started his Sankirtan movement in Navadvip, and you can go to that place in Mayapur where the Sankirtan movement started. And that's a tiny little place, smaller than this, called Srivas Angam. And there was the house of Srivas Thakur, one of the intimate associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu invited all of his closest associates to come there to Srivas Thakur's house every evening, and they'd lock the doors. I'm not sure how to lock a door in a thatched hut, but somehow they tied it shut. And they would have kirtan and dancing all night long for 1 year. So are you all into it? Mukarvin, can we use your house? Imagine if you had a place and everyone just agreed, yes, every night we're going to have kirtan. And how much kirtan they have? All night. But the other interesting fact you'll find in the Chaitanya Bhagavat is it's not the next day they slept in. They weren't all tired the next day, but they didn't sleep for a year. They all had kirtan all night long, and they also went about their other services during the day. By the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one can be infused with such energy. Practically, Prabhupada was like that. No one ever saw him sleep. In fact, Shruti Kirti Prabhu was telling how he used to travel with Prabhupada. He was one of his personal assistants, and he said he never saw Prabhupada sleep. But then once they were on a train and they shared the same, is it called a bogie? Yeah, they have 2-tier. And so Prabhupada was on the bottom tier and Shruti Kirti was above, and he was watching out for Prabhupada, and he thought, maybe now I can see Prabhupada sleep. And he said he looked down over the edge and he was looking at Prabhupada, eyes closed, and Prabhupada opened his eyes and looked right at him. So the devotees in Navadvip were chanting and dancing. And then after a year of this, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, now open the doors, let everybody go out and start doing this in the streets of Navadvip. And so this Madanga drum, you can hold it up, show. Not this Madanga drum, but one just like that. They had these drums. It's a very ancient instrument. It's actually an incarnation of Balaram in Chaitanya Lila, and it's meant to spread the transcendental vibration or accompany the chanting of Hare Krishna. And it's an unusual drum because it has a strap. It's one that you can dance with. There are not a lot of drums like that. Mostly you're stuck to the floor. A tabla, you have to sit down. If you're playing traps, you have to sit in a chair. You can't run around with those. But this, you can. So Mahaprabhu sent everybody out to Navadvip and said, go out and sing the songs of Hare Krishna, the Hare Krishna song. And so what's the first thing that happened? Somebody called the police. And that's what happens at most Hare Krishna gatherings. I was in Japan at somebody's house who was very wealthy, and he decided to have some people over and have a Hare Krishna festival in a ritzy neighborhood. He is a diamond merchant or a jewel merchant. So all of this rich jewel merchant friends came, and we were having a kirtan. It got more and more boisterous, and then the Japanese police showed up because the neighbors complained. And I said, now you're a bona fide Hare Krishna temple. We had it happen over on, where were we? What was the name of that? Bascom, one Janmashtami. Right at about 11:15, the police came for the third time and said, you got to shut it down. I said, yeah, sure. Just give us till 12:30. And they said, no, now, otherwise we're going to fine you. And everyone had to be quiet and go in the temple room, about 200 people, and that only fit about 50. And we had a quiet artik, and it was really ecstatic. So not everyone gets it right away, the chanting, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted it to go to every town and village. And there's a science behind it because Krishna's names are transcendental. And as we know, when people hear the names, then they become attracted. Many people have heard the names in the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and then their minds become attracted and they want to become devotees. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started that in Navadvip. And whenever we go to Srivasangam, which is every time we go to Mayapur, we take a group and we go down there and we start a kirtan starting with Hari Harai Nama Krishna, because that's the first kirtan that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced to the devotees. And whenever we have the kirtan there, it becomes ecstatic because it's ground zero for the Sankirtan movement there. However, that can be reproduced anywhere. And in a home, if you bring Gaur Nitai deities into your home, and you can worship them just by chanting. No elaborate worship needed for Sri Sri Gaur Nitai. And Prabhupada even told one of his disciples that he could distribute Gaur Nitai deities all over the world and that he can import them from India. It was Dayananda Prabhu. He's one of the early devotees. And he had become a Grihasta and he wondered what he would do for his livelihood. So Prabhupada said, why don't you import Guru Gauranga, Nitai Gaur deities? And he said, then you can distribute them. You can be a distributor. And people will pay for them that will maintain your Grihasta ashram. And then he said to Dayananda that, what if people, they're not qualified to have those deities in their house? And Prabhupada said, Nitai and Gauranga are so merciful that even if they go to the house of a meat eater, they won't take offense. And he said, you can take them actually door to door and on the street and tell people these are Hare Krishna dolls. And Prabhupada said, people collect dolls from China and Mexico, and they keep them in a little case. And he said, you can tell them these Hare Krishna dolls will fulfill all your desires. And then Prabhupada said, then they'll ask, well, how is it that they'll fulfill all of my desires? And then you can teach them about Krishna consciousness. And so Gaur Nitai are especially merciful, and you can keep Gaur Nitai in your home, and then you can chant Hare Krishna with your family and friends. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted every home to become a center for Krishna consciousness, so that it could spill out into the streets of the local places. People could hear the chanting of Hare Krishna, become happy, and in the end, go back home, back to Godhead. And so Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who lived in Navadvip Dham, or rather he lived in Koladvip, across the Jalangi River. It's just a quick boat ride across from Mayapur. You can walk from behind the Mayapur temple and catch a boat, and then just go right across the Jalangi River, and then you can jump off onto the bank, go up the embankment, and there you can go to the home of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who was one of the great acharyas who revived the Sankirtan movement, so much so that people called him the seventh Goswami. And of course, it requires a little context, but if any of you don't know, there were 6 Goswamis who were the disciples of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who are famous. They're called 6 Goswamis. And they revived all the holy places in Vrindavan. And they also wrote many books so that people could understand the teachings of Bhakti Yoga and practice them. Haribol! At least we would have been speaking Krishna Katha at the time. And so, don't worry, in a second we're going to sing. And we'll, so then, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, from his home, he could see a place where on the maps he had been studying, he looked at all ancient maps and went back and studied the landscape very carefully, topography, and he discovered where the places were that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed his pastimes 352 years before that. So a lot of people didn't know where they were and were actually just claiming they were in this place or that. And they didn't really want him discovering where it was because they were making some livelihood off of saying it's here. But he proved it, and he also brought Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj there, who was invalid, but when he got to the place that Bhaktivinoda Thakur had discerned was the birthplace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj was said to have gotten out of his basket. He was carried in a basket and he started dancing. Plus, there were tulsis growing everywhere there. So he established Bhaktivinoda Thakur the appearance place of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and many other pastime places all over Navadvip. And so Bhaktivinoda Thakur then, as a great acharya who brought back Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings to the world, wrote many songs that he wanted people, he said, to go out and patrol around town and sing these songs. They're in Bengali, so people would hear them in the local areas, and then they would understand the philosophy, and they would start singing them, and then they would become Krishna conscious and so forth. So fortunately for us, we come in the line of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur was a great devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He revived all the teachings. The Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita is available now, coming through his line, through Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and through His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So we're all recipients of this. And anyone who has come in contact with Sri Sri Gaur Nitai and the Sankirtan movement is deputized to spread it to other people and give everyone an opportunity to chant Hare Krishna. And we're going to end with a song written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur about the extraordinary mercy of Nitai and Gaur. And this song we've tested in places all over the world, and one of the places was right in Navadvip itself, where we went to Dhameshwara Mahaprabhu, where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's beautiful deity is. Looks very much like ours at ISV. And there we had 100 devotees, and we sat down in the courtyard to sing this song. And there were 7 Mayavadi sannyasis there. And we had been chanting Hare Krishna for about an hour, and they didn't say a word, nor did they dance, nor did they smile. But then we started singing this next song, and the sannyasis went nuts. They were dancing, and they were smiling, and they were singing the names of Nitai and Gaur in this song. So Nitai and Gaur, and the Dham of Navadvip, is the most important portal of all. We're on the Earth planet. We're in Kali Yuga. That's good news. It's actually mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam that those who know what's what worship Kali Yuga, because they understand that in Kali Yuga you can get everything just by Sankirtan. And so if we sing this song, we'll remember what the process is, because Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes that normally when you chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, you have to be very careful not to make offenses, because then it will be very difficult to taste the sweetness of the holy name. But when you chant the names of Nitai and Gaur, Nitai Gaur, said they don't consider any offenses whatsoever. And that's why anyone, Mayavadis, anyone anywhere, when they chant Nitai Gauranga, they feel happiness immediately, because Nitai and Gaur are so merciful. So we'll sing this song, and we'll remember that this is the gateway, Navadvip, to the spiritual world. If you chant Hare Krishna in Navadvip or Vrindavan, then you have a direct path straight back to Goloka Vrindavan. Gaur Premanande Haribol. Doya, Doya Nitai Chaitanya Bole. Nach, Rayar Marman. So Nach means to dance. Ray means, everyone say Ray. Ray. It means like, oh. Nachre amar man. So the phrase says, "Oh my mind, please dance. Please dance, my mind," because the mind is always dancing to some song or another, some plan we have. And it's the mind that carries us from one body to the next. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Yang yang vapi smaran bhavam tachate kalevaram tam tam evaite konteyasa tad bhava bhavita. Whatever you're fixated on when you leave this body, which comes, it's the aggregate of all the desires that you've cultivated in this life. It all comes to bear as a powerful force that pushes you to the next life, and you get accommodated with a new body, a new job, got to go to school all over again. That's really bad. SATs, come on. So when you have this, when your mind is dancing with the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda, then when you leave this body, you'll just go back to Godhead. So he says, "Oh my mind, please dance." And remember these names of Nitai and Gauranga. And Doyal means they're merciful. They're so merciful. Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Bole Nach Re Amar Man. Sounds good. Sounds really good. Nach Re Amar Man. It's on KK Songs. You got it? If you see anybody next to you that doesn't know the song or doesn't have it, share, because according to the Salvation Army, sharing means caring. Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Bole Nachre Amar Man. Nachariyar Marman, Nachariyar Marman, Nachariyar Marman, Nachariyar Marman. Hey! Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Bole Nachariyar Marman. Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Bole Nachariyar Marman. Nachariyar Marman, Nachariyar Marman, Nachariyar Marman, Nachariyar Marman. Hey! Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Bole Nachariyar Marman. Doyal Tonai Hai, Doyal Tonai Hai, Hey Mon Doyal Tonai Hai Mar Prek Made. Mon Doyal Tonai Hai Mar Ke Prema De. Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Bole Nachariyar Marman. Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Bole Nachariyar Marman. Nachariyar Marman, Nachariyar Marman, Nachariyar Marman, Nachariyar Marman. Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Bole Nachariyar Marman. Oh na ore aparada dure jabe pabe premadan. Ore apara, ore aparada dure jabe pabe premadan. विचार तो ना है, विचार तो ना है, ओ नाम अपराध विचार तो ना है, ओ नाम अपराध विचार तो ना है, दयाल निताय चैतन्य बोले नाचर्यार मर्मन, दयाल निताय चैतन्य बोले नाचर्यार मर्मन, नाचर्यार मर्मन, नाचर्यार मर्मन, नाचर्यार मर्मन, नाचर्यार मर्मन, हे दयाल निताय चैतन्य बोले नाचर्यार मर्मन, ठाकुर कृष्ण नाम में रुचे हबे गुचे बेबंधन, ठाकुर कृष्ण नाम में रुचे हबे गुचे बेबंधन, अनुरक्तो हबे है, अनुरक्तो हबे है, कृष्ण नामे अनुरक्तो हबे है, कृष्ण नामे अनुरक्तो हबे है, दयाल निताय चैतन्य बोले नाचर्यार मर्मन, दयाल निताय चैतन्य बोले नाचर्यार मर्मन, नाचर्यार मर्मन, नाचर्यार मर्मन, नाचर्यार मर्मन, नाचर्यार मर्मन, हे दयाल निताय चैतन्य बोले नाचर्यार मर्मन, ठाकुर अनायासे सफल हबे जीवेर जीवन, ठाकुर अनायासे सफल हबे जीवेर जीवन, जीवन तो मिच्छे है, जीवन तो मिच्छे है, कृष्ण रति बिना जीवन तो मिच्छे है, कृष्ण रति बिना जीवन तो मिच्छे है, दयाल निताय चैतन्य बोले नाचर्यार मर्मन, दयाल निताय चैतन्य बोले नाचर्यार मर्मन, नाचर्यार मर्मन, नाचर्यार मर्मन, नाचर्यार मर्मन, नाचर्यार मर्मन, हे दयाल निताय चैतन्य बोले नाचर्यार मर्मन, दयाल निताय चैतन्य बोले नाचर्यार मर्मन, ऐसे वृंदावने राधा श्यामेर पावे दर्शन, जैसे वृंदावने राधा श्यामेर पावे दर्शन, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda appeared on the horizon of Gauda like the sun and the moon, arising simultaneously on the horizon. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda wanted everyone in the world to be happy, to reveal the reality of our existence, which is that we all belong in the spiritual world. So they started a process through which everyone could take part in a spiritual process that would take them back home, back to Godhead. And that's the chanting of the Lord's holy names. Harinama, Harinama, Harinama eva kevalam, Kalau nasteva, 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 gatiranyata. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu brought this verse to light that in this age of Kali Yuga, the only way to attain perfection is by chanting the holy names of the Lord. And he spread it throughout Navadvip. And then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur spread it all over India. And then A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, his disciple, brought it to New York City, then San Francisco, and then Montreal, and Santa Fe, New Mexico. And then Shamasundar, Malati, and others got on an airplane where you had to hold on to a rope when you went across the ocean. No seats. Somehow or other, they got into the UK with no money, and they met the Beatles. And they told the Beatles, hey, you should chant Hare Krishna. George Harrison said, I know, I heard the record already. Let's do it. And they made a record of the Hare Krishna chant, and it became a #1 hit all over Europe. And everyone was chanting Hare Krishna. And then Prabhupada went around the planet 14 times and went to the most far-off places in the world, Africa, Australia, and all over Europe, all over America. And he taught everybody how to chant Hare Krishna and how to live a lifestyle where you're simply joyful 24 hours a day. And now that's been passed on to us. And as we take the process of chanting Hare Krishna out to various places and distribute the knowledge of Krishna consciousness, gradually we'll hear people all over San Jose, San Francisco chanting Hare Krishna. And someday they'll come out of their offices and their homes and everyone will join together just like this, maybe on the 4th of July. And they'll have a party at their homes and they'll start chanting Hare Krishna. And then they'll think back to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda, and they'll remember this last line of the song, which says, oh, if the mercy of Gaur is attained, then when you leave this world, you'll immediately see Vrindavan Dham and go back home back to Godhead. And all the people in San Jose will start singing, Gaur Kripa Hole Hai, Gaur Kripa Hole Hai, Gaura Kripa Hole Hai, Gaura Kripa Hole Hai, Gaur Kripa Hole Hai, Gaur Kripa Hole Hai, Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Buli Nachare Armarman, Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Buli Nachare Armarman, Nachare Armarman, Nachare Armarman, Nachare Armarman, Nachare Armarman, hey! Jaya Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Bole, Nach Re Amarman. Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Bole Nach Re Amar Man Nachre Armarman Nachre Armarman Nachre Armarman Nachre Armarman Hey! Nachre Armarman Nachre Amar Man Nachre Amar Man Go Premanande Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol We'd like to thank Mukaravind Prabhu and Ananga Manjari for Nanda Gopika, sorry. I'd like to thank her also for creating this beautiful space for us here. They've turned this place into a veritable temple and having many programs here, almost 1 or 2 a week, with people coming over. And this is one of the best ways to remain fixed in Krishna consciousness. Nirakulam, my wife and I, for just making sure. For 16 years in Burlingame, in our tiny little house, we had programs every week, and it was always a source of enlivenment for us, because when the devotees come over, and sometimes there were more that could fit in the house, but we sat wherever we could sit, and we served prasadam, and we had kirtan, and we heard and chanted for a long time, and it was the source of our sustenance to have the Vaishnavas come over and just sing Hare Krishna. And we had really good luck. No one ever called the police. Not only that, our neighbors never complained, ever, not even once. And we were really loud. Sri Prahlad came over once, and I was thinking the roof's going to come off, because everyone got so ecstatic, and the kirtan was so nice. But this is the way to be happy. It's a simple process. Just have a program in your house, like Mukaravinda Prabhu is doing, and you can be sure that you'll stay in Krishna consciousness. And it's really simple. Even if you don't have instruments, you can just sit there and clap, and you can read a little bit from the Bhagavad Gita, and then give everyone prasadam. And it's the simple process that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us. Well, it's been a great day. We started off in Vrindavan, and that was otherworldly. It was definitely an instant transport to Vrindavan. And then from there, we went to Jagannath Puri. And these are the houses of different devotees who hosted everyone today. So the first place we stopped was Vrindavan, and the second place we went is Jagannath Puri. And here we are in Sri Navadip Chandra Dham. Hare Krishna. So now let's have Mukaravinda Prabhu tell us what's happening next. What would you like us to do now, Mukaravinda Prabhu? Let's give a hand to Mukaravinda Prabhu for hosting everybody.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, I am overwhelmed by all of your love and support and the whole journey being here in ISV. And thank you for coming and making this moment so special for us. I especially like to thank my spiritual master and Guru Maharaj, Guru Ma, to blessing this whole occasion and making it more memorable for all of us. And if anything has been is not appropriate, please forgive us, and we'll make it better next time when you come.
Next time. Haribol. We'll be back.
So the next part is we'll have prasadam prayers, and there is and also I like to mention two devotees who has been instrumental in getting us the deities here. One is the Sudevi Mataji. Is she? Yeah. So she is from Berkeley Temple. It happened to be that we have been blessed to get these deities from Mataji. She received from devotees and then she handed over to us. So we are very lucky that the deities came by their own sweet will to give us, because I know we are not qualified in any way to serve, but when it came, then we thought that it's Krishna's will that they are coming to our home and giving us opportunity to serve. So and also second, and I like to thank my dear God sister Mantra Siddhi Mataji. So whatever you're saying, she has just like turned like 180 degree the whole thing. She has been months and months. She is working on the deities to paint and make it more beautiful. So I like to heartily thank Mantra Siddhi Mataji and Yashoda Ki Prabhu. I'm sure equally he was involved to take care of Gopal Rai whenever she was working on the deities. So and thank you once again for coming here. And so please, the prasadam will be in the garage, and then you can take any room in the home to take prasadam, or you can come and backyard, front yard, wherever you feel comfortable, just take prasadam. And yeah, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So if any of you don't know this next song, it's my favorite song. Then you can look it up on KK Songs. It's there. It's a Bengali song written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur about honoring prasadam. Prasadam is food that's been offered with love and devotion to Krishna, and then it becomes spiritual food. And when we honor that food, then we become spiritual. In the Gita, Krishna says, Prasade sarva dukhanam hanirasupajayate, prasanna chetaso yashu bhuti pariyavatishtite. When you receive the mercy of the Lord, then your intelligence becomes fixed, you become steady, and you become happy. Sharirat vijaja jodendriya taheka jibe pele vishaya shagare tarma je divayati loba moisu durmati Sake jeta katita samsare Krishna bodha doyamoy Gauri bare jihva jai Shaprasharana dilo bhai Shayanamrita pao Radha Krishna Guna Gao Preme Dako Shri Chaitanya Nitai Preme Dako Shri Chaitanya Nitai Mahaprasade Govinde Nama Brahmani Vaishnave Salpa Punyavatam Rajan Vishvaso Navajayate Prasade Sarva Dukhanam Hanirasya Upajayate Prasanate Taso Yashu Buddhipayavatis Tvayopa Bhukta Saganda Vasalankar Charchita Utishta Bojino Dasa Tavamayam Jaimahi Bhagavat Shri Mahaprasadiki Gaur Premanande Nitai Gaura Haribol 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 Nitai Gaura Haribol. Please come take prasadam. Haribol. Vanchagobdharuscha kripasundameva patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha nantakodi vaishnaviniki jai.
His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. And I think last but not least, we have to call Avantika for the cooks. But yeah, just a small. I know, see, surprise. So some of my friend came and asked me that how do you do this program? So I just told that it's a team effort, and I really mean that. There are so many devotees involved in this program. They volunteered in cooking, like the big feast you are seeing. This all many devotees came together. They cooked. Many devotees help in the bhogas. I also want to thank our dear Yashoda Kipa Prabhu from the beginning to end. He was helping in the pujari services as well as Koladip Pran Prabhu. So all it's like it's a team effort, and I'm really blessed to have such a work with such a nice blessed team. Those who are ready to put up, like what Maharaj was saying, whatever program is done by all everyone's coming together, and like starting with Nimai and Nitai is the super rocking kirtan. So I can say that it's all everyone's team effort. So I'll like to thank all involved in the organizing this team. Thank you. Hare Krishna.